Sadly, is that many are now in the church offended at the power of the cross of Christ, offended by it. Don't like to talk about it, don't like to discuss it. We stop doing it. There are numerous false religions out there that right now they have decided this is the time we're going to attack. Satan has launched a military procession against the church because he watched us for decades and said this is the time to attack. For some odd reason, they no longer want to preach the cross of Christ and they don't believe it. If we're going to attack, do it right now. Why do you think Louis Farrakhan has the power to walk up in churches, stand in a pulpit, and preach falsehood? I counted 10 churches. It's never been done before. Islam has been trying their best to get in churches. Malcolm X tried his best to get in, and he couldn't do it. Now, this false teacher, this warlock by the name of Louis Farrakhan, has the ability to walk into our holy sanctuary, stand in a holy pulpit, and preach a falsehood. What happened? But, doctor, he's the only one that's helping the black people right now. He's the only leader that's strong enough to do what needs to be done. Ain't no other preachers doing anything. That's a lie. Just because you don't see them on television doesn't mean that the people of God are not doing anything. And let me help you, for those of you who actually believe that the Nation of Islam is doing the right thing. How can you preach from the unholy Quran, which clearly says in Surah 4, verses 157 and 158, it says Christ was never crucified. Then you go back and you can pull further where it says that Jesus was never the Son of God. How can you preach from the Holy Bible and the unholy Quran and sit there and say that you're preaching truth? Impossible. But yet now we're allowing this in our churches. You should be thanking God that your pastor would never do anything like that. You won't even set foot on the grounds with that false teaching. But it's filtering, it is infiltrating churches. When I came up here to Washington, I was with Pastor Smith, and we went to Chinatown. And I saw my favorite friends, the Hebrew Israelites. It's an inside joke, y'all. Y'all have to get to know me and know the history behind that with me and them. The ISUPK, which is a division of the Hebrew Israelites, who basically teach that God only came for the African American, that basically African Americans are the true Israelites, that Jesus Christ was a black man, and I'm going to deal with that shortly and kill that just like that. They also believe that all white people will end up being slaves and then eventually be killed. That also includes the Asians and everyone else. And so I had a chance to speak to this illustrious group one day, and I asked them, I said, just one question. Actually, I gave them two. Y'all said that because we were brought over on ships over to America, that America is actually Egypt, and, that makes us the Israelites. I said, well, in Jeremiah 43, Jeremiah had to tell the people that God had told them that they were no longer to return to Egypt based on the word that he had given them earlier. And if you guys did that, that will fulfill the prophecy in which you are not supposed to return to Egypt. And see, when they decided to return to Egypt, they couldn't cross the Red Sea like they did before. When God parted it, they had to cross over by ships. So I said, that eliminates your whole religion in one shot. That ain't true, that ain't true. And then I said the second thing. You said that Jesus is a black man based on Revelations, the scripture that talks about his hair is white like wool and his eyes is flaming fire and so forth. I said, I'm sorry to tell you, but if you would have read the entire chapter, you would understand it's not talking about his skin color. It's talking about his earthly and his heavenly rule, in which from the bottom, where it says his feet is like bronze, is his earthly rule. But by the time you get to the top of his head and his hair is white, his is pure and untouched, and he's the only one that can rule this heaven and this earth, period. Your religion destroyed by God. Stop preaching falsehoods. And I've been banned from the underground ever since. Why did I bring that up? Because we've got people that are in religions and things that are creeping into our churches, and they're mixing up with, and people are trying to mix it up with the gospel of God. But this is what 1 Corinthians 1 and 20 and so forth says. It says, where's the wise person? Where's the teacher of the law? Where's the philosopher of this age? Has God made them foolish, the wisdom of the world? For since in the wisdom of God, the world through its wisdom did not know him, God was pleased through the foolishness of what was preached to save those who believed. Because Jews demand a sign and Greeks look for wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified. A stumbling block to the Jews and a foolishness to the Gentiles. Anybody, any religion, I don't care who it is, if they deny that Jesus is the Son of God and they deny that he's been crucified, you are dealing with a false religion. Shut it down, get it out of your house, get it out of your mind.